What's up?
Are we live? Hello.
Oh, we are.
Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche podcast, live from Breckenridge Brewery's farmhouse tasting room. Great time always out here at Breck Brew. We always enjoy doing our shows. Eric, AJ, Rudo, coming to you live on a day of, I guess, the Panthers and Oilers do play tonight. So that's fun. The one hockey game still going in the NHL.
Good for them.
Panthers up 1-0 in that series. Go Cats, by the way. Not our main focus for today. A lot of news about the league and some of the off-ice stuff going on, coming out this week. Starting with the NHL Draft. There's been a lot of talk about this, both from inside the organization of the NHL and outside through players and fans and all of that. The major news of it, though, being potentially the NHLPA arguing to shorten the draft to just 4 rounds. Now, I did the math here. 4 rounds is 128 picks with the current number of teams in the NHL. Eric Lacroix drafted 136.
Ugh.
So you just missed the cut, buddy. Tell me your guys' thoughts, though. Would a shorter NHL draft be a good thing?
I'll give you the start.
Yeah,
I got
feel
some.
free, man.
No. I'll give you the start. Then I'll jump in.
I think it's going to mess up some of the trade market where GMs are just going to have to readjust.
Can't just add a 5th-round pick to stuff anymore.
Exactly. The market with those 5th, 6th, and 7th-round picks that we see get traded every year is going to be a little bit different. So I kind of wonder what becomes of that. Are they just going to trade lower-level prospects? Does that, instead of a 6th-round pick, does it turn into, Matt Steinberg, for example? You know, a guy that's in your system that's a little lower on the totem pole that you may not see an NHL future with.
I agree with your point. I think it's less. I mean, Matt Steinberg's kind of a weird case, but it doesn't not just end up being we didn't draft him 5th overall, so we signed him, or in a 5th round, so we signed him, and now we just traded him instead of a 5th-round pick.
Yeah, well, but when you do that, I mean, when you have 7 picks given to you by the league, that's 7 assets given to you that you can work with in the trade market. You get 3 years down this road with no draft picks between rounds 5, 6, and 7. You have to be aggressive in signing guys in the free agent market, and the guys that you would have had at the end of your 5, 6, 7 list. You know what it might be best for is the rookie face-off that we go to every year.
Sign a bunch of dudes for those things.
Exactly. That's now going to become a serious showcase for those guys, and not just another part of the process for them. So
true.
I wonder. We had Siebes in here last week, and I wonder about a guy like that. Does he end up getting pushed out of a rookie face-off opportunity down the road because the guys that would have gotten drafted 5th, 6th, 7th rounds,
fill those slots.
Well, because you look at the Avs signed Sage Weinstein last year.
Yep.
18 years old.
Yep.
He was 18.
Undrafted, so you can.
Yeah, he was an undrafted kid that they signed, and his ELC will slide for 2 full years before he comes into pro hockey.
Yep.
So, and that's very rare for that to happen. That is not a common thing for a guy that young. So I do wonder what the trickle-down effect will be. But these are all minor details that I think sort themselves out over time.
Just that first 5-year window that things get really weird.
And I think for the players, you could definitely see a world where they are given better opportunities because they're not, a guy that gets drafted in the 7th round is not at the mercy of whatever organization he's drafted by. Yep. Nikolai Kovalenko wouldn't have had his rights held by the Avs, so he can only come over and play for the Avs. He can just, whenever he decides to sign, he just chooses a team. He wants to come to North America. He thinks he's ready. Boom, let's go. He gets to pick the one that's going to give him what he feels is the best situation for himself. So for a lot of those guys, I think it's great. I think it gives them more control of their careers. I've always been very pro player, and so I think that's great. From a trade deadline, draft day, UFA day, those are fun days to experience. I think there's a very, very small piece of it that's less fun, but that's not a good reason to make a business decision.
Well, when you're a couple points here, when you're saying you're trading a 5th or 6th or 7th, right? Always remember, we talk about it on the show all the time. you're not trading a contract, you're trading a pick. Now,
Yeah.
if you're trading Steinberg, for example, then it's a contract, and then the team's like, I don't want. It's nothing to do with the player. It's I don't want the contract. I don't want the contract. You know what I mean? So then it makes things. It would make things a little bit more complicated. You know what I mean? On returns on transactions. You know what I mean?
sure.
Right? Does that make sense?
The numbers game gets alleviated a little bit because you don't sign 5th, 6th, and 7th round picks at that point. You only sign whichever guys you want, right?
Yeah.
So I think all of the contract numbers for the organizations would come down, just a little.
You would think, yeah.
I don't think it's substantial because those are the guys that already are not getting contracts at the highest rate.
I would say it also gets rid of some of the silliness. The Montreal Canadiens are notorious for doing this every year, where they get to the 6th round and they just trade this year's 6th for someone else's next year's 6th, just because they want to be done picking players. Like,
Our list is empty.
Yeah.
We're good. We'll wait till next year.
so you end up with less of those empty, silly trades that don't mean anything as well.
Yeah. But I always say, I say to parents, I haven't been around this league for such a long time, and you said it, what was I, 136?
136.
136. So
How
I would
do you not know?
Well,
Come
I'm too
on.
old, man. I'm too old. So, and again, it was only 23 teams back then, or whatever.
Yeah, that was a 7th round pick when you were
Yeah, that's
taking
what I'm
it,
saying,
so-
yeah.
And there were 9 rounds in the draft.
No,
back then,
12.
too. Were there 12 back?
yeah.
You were that early, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not bad.
You were a mid-rounder, buddy.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I was. It's more than fine. But I always tell kids, even my own kid, I've been going through the competitive hockey last couple years, and it's like, here's what I'll say. And I don't want to sound bad when I'm going to say it, but the draft is awesome. Like the one coming up, because it's the last one that's in person, and I've said it. I'm pro that. We can talk about that later. About that they're going to stop having it that way. But for me, it's so awesome because of the families and the friends and the grandparents, and it's awesome. And you get there and you're so excited, and you hear your name called or not, which sucks for the ones that don't get called. And they sit there, because trust me, there's a bunch that are sitting there and their names don't get called, and it's just not fun. But I always say, and I mean it, and it's in conjunction with what we're talking about here with, the 5th, 6th, 7th round. I always tell kids, you don't want to get drafted in the 5th, 6th, or 7th. And I mean it, because I always say, if you're good, you're going to play anyway. You want to dictate where you're going to go. Because I've lived it myself. Toronto, I was a Toronto pick, and they had an old team. It was those, those semifinal, those runs, and I was always like, they don't need me. You know what I mean? You don't want to be at the mercy of one team. And like you said, being pro player, sure, absolutely. You want to control your own destiny. You're a free agent. Why not? Mm-hmm. First of all, it means more money, a better contract, and then maybe a better opportunity. Now, on the flip side, I always say, because I can't lie to what I'm saying, I can't erase what I'm saying, is if you're good, you'll find a way to play.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you might find a way to play that way quicker. And we all know the careers are shorter, and that's why the PA presses for that, because the careers are not long. But if you find a way to play quicker, where you don't have to go play a year or two in the American League because of the way I'm going to go to this team because they can use a player like me right now, or they're low on prospects, or whatever. Use the abs, you know what I mean? I can crack their lineup, as a 4th liner more than I could, I don't know, Chicago, where there's 38,000 freaking guys like me right now coming in, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? You can fall through the cracks, and it takes a little longer. So I do believe, I always tell kids when they're disappointed and didn't get drafted, I'm like, it's okay. You want to be a free agent. You do. You don't want to be drafted late. You know what I mean? So I think that falls into place with that.
So 2 things I would say on this. First, kind of in line with what AJ was saying about Kovalenko or someone like that, I think the change that the people this helps the most is late blooming NCAA players. Because you see these guys in the 5th, 6th, 7th round that don't really break out until their junior year of college, and then they're stuck with this team for another 2 years, and their only avenue to free agency is to play another 2 years of college.
My point.
And then finally they can go play for whoever they want after that. A player like that, great. He breaks out his junior year. He is now a UFA. He can go wherever he wants right away if he wants to jump into the NHL.
Yeah, it is interesting this topic of NCAA player rights.
As that whole landscape is changing drastically.
No. I just mean just specifically what you're talking about here, because every time the Avs draft an NCAA kid, it immediately becomes
we'll see him in 3 years.
Well, what if he doesn't want to sign?
Yeah.
You know, a guy gets into his junior year and he's like, he could just play 2 more years and then become a free agent.
2 more years is such a long time, man.
Genuinely, though, how many times have you seen really in-demand drafted college kids take it to free agency? If they don't
Twice.
play, if they didn't play for Harvard, it's not very common.
Jimmy and Kevin Hayes. That's about it. Like,
And Foxy, Fox a little bit.
He was pretty clear about always wanting to do that.
Yeah, and I mean Kerfoot. We had
Kerfoot's true. Yeah.
We had Will Butcher here.
Yeah.
He like more of a late bloomer, but yeah.
Yeah, but like he was a drafted kid though, and then when he hit free agency, was in demand.
Yep.
And so you're talking like there's just not very many guys that are in real demand. There might be a couple of guys, you know, that 1 or 2 teams around the league are like, yeah, we could bring this kid in. We like this. He might be able to help our AHL team, you know, whatever. But how many guys are actually in that kind of demand? Because waiting 4 full years is so onerous to a career path that it dissuades players from that, and it encourages them to jump into the soup with an organization that maybe
not the best fit or whatever.
Exactly.
Yep.
And every organization is different, and they all have different needs and different timelines. You know, the Avs right now, it's kind of funny because the Avs and Nuggets are kind of the same.
Yeah.
They are in a championship window.
They're not everything into win now, basically.
And they're not looking to get star players.
Yep. They want role players.
They're looking to get role players. They're looking to fill in the gaps.
The next Logan O'Connor.
Yeah, of their roster on the cheap, but they need older guys because they're closer to that.
Yeah.
They're closer. So they're not trying to take swing after swing after swing on star players. They're just trying to find guys that can fit them as quickly as possible.
Yep.
And if you have a larger free agent base, you know, and not you stop the draft after the 4th round, you have a larger group of free agents then you have guys in organizations that are finding better fits for them. And in theory, it should fit everybody a little bit better. It should produce better results overall for players looking to start their careers and find good situations, and for teams that are trying to develop guys into NHLers.
Here's
in theory.
I don't want to be anti-player because I think I'm pro-player most of the time, but let me throw an argument for a different system at you.
Yep.
Still a 7-round draft. Everyone has the Canadian junior rules applied to their drafting spot. So 2 years.
2 years?
2 years. That's it. And on top of that, none of this crap where you enter the draft for a second time. After those 2 years, you're a UFA if you don't sign.
Yeah, you don't see that a lot.
A lot of enthusiasm here.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
No. It's a great question.
I'm
it's
honestly
a great
just
thought process.
Yeah,
it is.
it's a lot to digest.
My
No,
point.
but then I was going back to whoever gets drafted again, like you're thinking.
Yeah,
like,
don't. You know, you're a UFA. None of that redrafting.
No, that's what I'm saying.
junk.
Which doesn't happen a lot. I mean, I always go back to Brad Larson because he was.
Happened to Connor Bleakley.
Yeah, like Brad was a 2nd rounder Avs and then ended up being a 4th rounder or something like that. You know what I mean? It's always usually like that. Pierre Dagenet, you guys remember him? Dagenet?
Scott Parker was drafted twice.
Yep. Yeah, he went back. That's right. He was a Jersey pick, right? First.
Yes.
Yeah, and then the Avs took him with that pick. But
it eliminates that conversation, but I think it also allows avenues for I'll say Columbus because I don't want to say Winnipeg again.
Yeah.
A team that maybe struggles to get some of those high-end free agents to come to their organization still allows them the opportunity to draft and internalize players a little bit of a wider spectrum than just those first 4 rounds of picks.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes a ton of sense, but
no, it does. It does.
So so we're not just making one change. We need to make 2 or 3 changes to make this fit.
Yeah.
You shorten it to 4 rounds. I like those rules, but then you have to increase the age to 20.
Then that's what we're going to talk about in a second.
Okay.
Got it. Great.
Before we get to that, we are brought to you guys by Toyota. If you are a Toyota truck person, of course, trucks have been in Toyota's DNA forever, whether it be the Tundra or many of their other options, including up to 16 hybrid vehicles like the Tundra iForce Max. Of course, they have more than just trucks, too. You can get in with their SUVs like the 4Runner or the RAV4. 17 different off-road vehicles. Since I know there's a lot of off-roaders here in Colorado, you can jump in with them on the off-road stuff if you like going out on the trails here and things like that. And of course, you can also just get your daily driver from Toyota too, whether you want any number of their sedans, or if you're a family, you can go with one of their bigger options, or maybe you just like a big car.
I was gonna say, you don't have to be a family to buy a big car, man.
I don't like big cars personally, so
I agree.
I'll stick with my Corolla or something.
I already feel a little maxed out in the SUV that I drive. So
that thing's not an SUV.
I'm a little
like transition at best.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember what they call the cars that are in between.
Hybrid. It's not a hybrid. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Crossover. Yes.
Yeah, there we go. That's it. I already feel maxed out in that thing.
Whatever it is, Toyota has a vehicle for you. So make sure you jump in with them. Get to your local Front Range Toyota dealership. They carry the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche and the official vehicle of DNVR at AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Once you've got your Toyota and you're zipping around the city, make sure you get in with the #1 sportsbook for most unique Colorado bets. That's ClutchBet. Go get with ClutchBet right now. I know the Nuggets and the Avs are eliminated, but that doesn't mean you can't bet on teams or against teams like the Rockies, like the Rapids.
They were not very clutch.
So the ClutchBet is to bet against their bullpen, as it has been for the last 15 years.
Oh my God. It's so bad.
It's been the most consistent bet
so bad.
in Colorado might be wait till the 7th inning, bet the over, because the Rockies bullpen is coming in.
Yeah, honestly, last year it was I'll wait until they get the lead and then I'll bet against them. And this year I will wait until the starter leaves the game.
Exactly.
If that's the 4th inning, great. That money's going down. It's gonna pay for a new Toyota for me.
There you go, the big money. Obviously, there are plenty of other bets, too. You can still get in on bets for the Cup Final, including insurance on all first goal scorer bets and NHL parlays through the rest of it. So if you feel good about a Florida or Oiler to score first, jump on it with ClutchBet. Make sure you're getting in with the code DNVR250 over at ClutchBet to get a 100% first bet match up to $250 in bonus bets paid out over your first 5 weeks. Download the ClutchBet Sportsbook app today and use that DNVR250 code to be sure to keep an eye out for other great promotions and offers for the Rockies, Broncos, Nuggets, and Avs. And of course, must be 21 or older and located in the state of Colorado. Gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-GAMBLER if you or someone you know needs help. All right. This is an idea we've been kicking around off air for a couple of weeks. Probably much longer than that, really, for you guys. I know you've talked about it before. Increasing the NHL draft age to 20.
Yeah, so really, I think the benefits of it are obvious. Players change a lot between their draft years and their D+2s. Players are in a better position at that point.
If you are looking to create a draft much more like the NFL's, where you look at a first round where the majority of players can help teams immediately, I understand where you're coming from.
And at least it removes this whole AHL, CHL bullshit.
To be honest, that's a whole other conversation that we probably won't get too deep into today.
Yeah, it just needs to not exist.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Yeah.
But I think it puts players into better positions for their pro careers, and I think it puts organizations, obviously, into better positions because they're not getting 1 year down the road like Minnesota with Philip Johansson and being like, what was this?
A disaster, yeah.
Yeah, and you just have more information. You have a better idea of who these players are. And I also think that there's, because, what do you do about Connor Bedard or a McDavid? Those types of guys.
I know.
The first overall pick has played in the NHL
almost every year. Power and EJ are the only two in the last 20 years. Yeah.
The ones, even going back into the 90s, it's defensemen.
Yep.
Are the ones that don't. You also don't have defensemen picked first overall super often. So, it's not a common thing, but you can easily just be like, look, every year a player can apply for an exemption. not unlike the exceptional status process that they have in the CHL, where it's like, do we think this guy could be on a quicker path? Is he good enough, you know? And then you're not having organizations jamming 19-year-old kids in at the end of the college seasons or whatever. And it's just, here is a 20-year-old draft class, except for the very rare tip-top best guys. And, you know, when they make their decisions about, okay, you're eligible, then great. Make it like MLB, where you get one shot at this, and then you have to wait 2 years. And you just worry about your game. You don't worry about being a pro. You don't worry about where you're living. You know, not any of that. Just go and develop. Be players. Understand how to play your sport at the best level possible. Develop, and you can still go to camps. You know, we're talking about guys going to that. You can still get invited to camps. You can't sign contracts, whatever. But a 20-year-old draft for me, I've always really liked the idea. Even if it was like 19.
Just that one extra year would make a lot of difference for the first round.
I think it would just be good. Or the other ideas that have been bandied about in the past is if you're 18 years old, 17, 18 years old, and you get drafted in the first round, great. If you don't get drafted in the first round, you're not eligible to be drafted the rest of the year. So it would solve a problem of, you know, hey, we want to draft a Cutter Gauthier 6th overall or something. You know, but those guys, it makes the 30 picks 30, 31, 32, whatever, a little more valuable, because that's the last of that player pool that you can pick from. And then you don't have second and third round picks who are just teenagers.
I remember back then, my dad was an agent, right, as we know, but Mike Bossy, Bob, some of those guys, you know, like the age was 20. You know what I mean? The age was 20 years old. So I remember when it changed from 20 to 18. And I was a young kid, and I was like, I thought that was like weird. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, whoa, you know, that's young. And I still think it's young. I still think guys from 14 on till 20, like, I mean, God, I was a different player. Here's what I'll say. I got drafted at 18, whatever. Maybe I'm not a fourth rounder at 20. Maybe I'm a second rounder. I'm saying I was a lot better than I was when I was 18. You know what I mean? I think that drafts is based on, we'll talk a lot about the draft coming up, but it's all based on projections, right? Yeah. And then a lot can happen between 18 and 20. There is a lot, physically, maturity, all that kind of stuff that can make you a different person, you know, good or bad, you know what I mean, a good player, a good prospect, or a worse one. I don't mind that if they ever would go back to, you know, being a 20. And I don't mind the status of, you know, applying for status if, you know, you're Connor Bedard or whatever it is. Even you got Macklin Celebrini right now, the projected number one, coming in a couple of weeks, like talking about yesterday in interviews. They might go back to college. You know, there's nothing wrong with trying to develop. And, you know, look at Cale Makar. I mean, God, Cale Makar, it was awesome. He went back, you know what I mean, like twice.
If we had a 20-year-old draft, do you think Cale Makar's not the first overall pick?
Oh, that's exactly. No, but again, going back and like maturing and developing, because those are crucial years. Yeah, they are. You know what I mean? And sometimes, and I've seen this league swallow up some guys too. They come in at 18, they're not ready, and it just swallows them. And then, you know, you never see them again. You know what I mean? And then you're like, oh, what happened to that guy? He just wasn't ready for the National Hockey League at 18, and not very good on the team to not notice that and put them in those situations, because that goes on them too. It's not just on the player. But, you know, I don't mind that. 20, I think, is a great age, and your career is perfect at 20, and, you know, you play till you're 35, whatever it is, and you get the privilege to play 15 years. It's an awesome career, you know. I don't see anything wrong with moving it to 20. Of course, you're right, the CHL rules and all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean, it would clean up a lot of that stuff. Plus, I think the CHL teams would like that too. You know what I mean? They, especially with
CHL teams would love it.
I mean, with the NCAA and all that kind of stuff. Now, that would be a good thing that you might see hand in hand here coming up.
Let me play devil's advocate for a minute on this argument. If you push the draft age to 20, first of all, I absolutely hate exemption status stuff. It becomes a political mess. And you end up with ones that eventually are going to miss, and you get a Sean Day at the NHL level where it's a disaster and everyone freaks out about it. That I less care about. I just hate the entire system of exemptions where randomly some kid who usually will end up being very good, but he gets to get drafted while all of his peers don't.
And this is why if you just do the first round, you can draft any of the normal, any of the age-eligible kids right now, and then after that, you can't.
It's better. I still think it's dumb.
Okay.
My main argument and my main problem with this is, in a vacuum, I don't really have a problem with it. But when you look around the world and you see 18-year-old kids that turn 19 even, they're going to want to turn pro, and they're going to go play in pro leagues in Europe, elsewhere, and they're going to do what they have to do. And all of a sudden, some of those guys are going to be really good, and you're going to be having the best players in the world playing pro, not in the NHL.
Wayne Gretzky.
And that's a problem for the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want your best talent fleeing North America because they're trying to get paid.
Yep. I think it's a really bad look for the NHL because, yes, as much as the majority of the first round is not going to play right away, you will get enough of the very high-end first-round guys that will play at 18 and 19 in the NHL.
That's what I'm saying. You just let them be. Let the first round continue to exist.
I hate these convoluted rules where you have to chop up 18 only for the first round, and then it's too much. Just keep it simple.
My lord. I just got a flashback here. Okay. 1990, Vancouver, NHL Draft. What, 136?
136.
Yours truly, and I say that all the time, only reason I got drafted, you guys are too young. You all remember that. You weren't born.
Hey.
1990? You weren't born.
I was.
Were you?
June of 1990, I was not even created yet.
No. Okay. AJ was a year old.
I was 3.
Sorry. 1990. You might not even know that, so this could be like a big bombshell for you guys here. Only reason I got drafted, and I say that to people all the time, CHL players could only get drafted in the first 3 rounds. Look it up. Trust me. Hey, as I'm saying it on camera, it's true. So I defected, meaning like I went to play high school. I defected like those guys in Checo.
You and the Stastnys.
No, me and the Stastnys. No, I left it. I was playing prep school hockey in Boston. I was playing high school hockey in Boston. I was not playing in the CHL. Yeah. So they turned themselves to college kids and freaking high school kids, and that's why I was like, what 7th round? Like, you know what I mean? You couldn't draft CHL players, and that's where all of a sudden there was a lot of European invasion, a lot of more guys being drafted out of the European leagues. So look back, like Yannick Perreault could not get drafted. You had to wait till the next year to get drafted because he got 100 freaking 50 goals that year, I think, and he didn't get drafted. And everyone's like, why is he not drafted? And a guy like me gets drafted. I'm laughing. Gabe Perreault's that. But, and it's like they can only be in the first 3 rounds. So there used to be that rule, and it lasted a few years. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, and I think rules like that are just random or stupid.
So you're saying make it 20?
No.
I'm saying
keep it at 18.
Okay.
Because I think there are enough good players. I think the system works. I think scouting is good enough. And while this sucks for the teams that it happens to, and certainly sucks for the players that it happens to, busts are entertaining.
Yeah. Until you're one.
Yeah.
Right?
In the moment, for that guy, it sucks. I'm not trying to. But look, at the end of the day, hockey is entertainment.
Oh, yeah, it is. I agree with you.
The only other thing I would say, if you are moving the draft to 20, drafting a guy means you have to offer them a contract right away.
At 20?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Well, yeah, because, you're right, because where do they go?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what, you're going to wait 4 years or whatever, and then...
They're 23 now, and it's like...
They're never going to hit arbitration in their career? Like, no,
that'd
dude.
be so stupid.
You're back to the 90s now.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if we solved all of the world's draft problems, but we did our best.
I don't think we did anything. We've accomplished nothing.
We approached
we
some
really
ideas.
are Congress.
Yeah, sick. We made it. That's how you know you made it. Can we just, like, what do they suspend our podcast for 2 weeks while we try to figure out the budget?
Yeah, while we go on recess. Can we have recess? Alyssa, can we have recess?
I miss recess.
Sweet. See ya.
We had an outdoor rink at my school. That's what we did. We'd go play.
Must be nice.
Ball hockey.
I played Foursquare poorly.
Yeah, I had a lot of Foursquare. We had that game where it's like the 3 holes on the tall pole. You threw a ball in the top of it.
This sounds like basketball.
Yeah, but instead of it was like a big thing where it had 3 holes that comes out of it, so it would come out the red one, the yellow one, or the blue one. No.
Okay. We had Foursquare and tetherball.
We had tetherball.
Tetherball was good.
Yeah.
I was a violent tetherball player.
Oh yeah.
Did your Foursquare have like crazy people rules?
No, it wasn't like the way that. Oh, this is gonna be the oldest man thing that I've ever said, but it's not like how kids play Foursquare now.
Yeah, where they have like they call some crazy thing and
No.
it's like super ultra mega bounce.
No, we didn't have any of that, man. We weren't creative.
Just bounce the ball of the square.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's say this. If you are trying to get your budget in order, make sure you get with Westera Credit Union. They've been around in Colorado for 90 years, and they have 9 different locations in the Denver metro area. They're all about helping members financially prosper, as education is their thing. They were started by 8 different school teachers, so the math adds up on that one. They just launched an awesome new product called Smart Money Checking. You can meet the checking account designed to help you earn unheard of interest on smaller balances, starting off with a 6% annual percentage yield on your first $2,000 each month. And as your balance grows, so does your potential to unlock great rates for higher balances. On top of this, you can also earn a bunch of stuff with their rewards debit card, and it has no monthly or maintenance fees. And there's so much more available to you at Westera. If you like earning money by doing the things you're already doing with your checking account, visit westeracu.com/smartmoney for more details. Of course, membership eligibility required, insured by NCUA. Restrictions and conditions apply. And once you got your money all stored away with Westera, safe and sound, take out a little bit and get yourself with Game Time. When you sign up with Game Time, you get $20 off your first purchase with code DNVR. And Game Time guarantees you the best ticket prices available out there, no matter what the event you might be going to. Whether it's a sporting event with that $20 off ticket, you could basically get the Rockies games for free if you go to the cheap seats. Of course, you don't have to be local to Colorado either. Maybe if you're in Florida or Edmonton, you can get yourself to a Cup Finals game through Game Time. You can also go to the theater, you can go to concerts, you name it. Game Time has you fully covered with tons of different ways to save money, whether it be last-minute ticket deals, the section selector, and maybe coolest of all, they guarantee you the cheapest price. If you find tickets cheaper elsewhere, they'll reimburse your account 110% of that ticket price. So get with Game Time today, download the app, and join over 15 million people that get their tickets through Game Time. Again, be sure to use that DNVR code when you download the Game Time app to get $20 off your first purchase. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. A little bit of a segue from our current topic to our next one. Part of the reason I would also like to see the draft stay at 18, when you look at these European leagues, and don't get me wrong, I hate we sign these kids to our organization when they're 6 and then they spend their entire lives as part of Karpat or whoever. I don't like that. But we do see leagues like the Finnish Liga, they'll have kids at 16 playing professional hockey.
Yeah.
And that's obviously 16 is way too young for an NHL draft. I'm not trying to make that argument, but you see these opportunities
Why
that
not?
some of these kids get.
Why is 18 the right number?
Because they're adults.
Okay. Have you ever met an 18-year-old?
Yeah.
Do you remember what you were like at 18?
Oh, I have no chance I'd have survived having to be a professional. It would have gone horribly.
You would have. You thought just because you turned 18, you were 17 one day and 18 the next, suddenly you were an adult? Give me a break.
Old enough to go into the army and shoot people.
Great. Let's turn that into awesome.
Not going to go down that road. But
not any further, I guess.
my point being, the opportunities that European players have to play professional so early is an advantage. I have no doubt we'll be talking about it a ton as we get into our draft material of, well, this guy played against men and he's already proven he can handle that physical, whatever.
All right, so you're just going to attack my love of Igor Chernyshov right now?
No, I like Chernyshov too. I'm just saying, like, that talking point already exists. So, like, imagine Finnish pros who've played pro for 4 years coming into a 20-year-old draft, as opposed to these North American kids who at 20 will have still not played in pro.
Okay, I'm imagining it.
That gap is pretty big.
All right. This doesn't bother me.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, no, my big thing is that trying to project teenagers into adults is extremely difficult.
Yeah, it is.
You try to bridge the gap a little bit with the 20-year-old draft. I've kind of said my piece on this. And
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you think the reps in this case are more valuable than just like having like a growing body? Because I'm curious, like.
Yeah, both are really important.
Yeah,
you need both.
Timeout. Timeout real quick. I broke it, probably. Get him on the leg somehow. Made it break. Okay.
Is it fixed? We fixed it.
Hey, I don't see anything wrong with dominating. I don't. I don't feel that it's a waste of time. I think you can learn with some leadership. You can learn different things and be more ready, especially at those critical ages, you know, with your body, and it's more mature. And when I hear that argument that you waste your time, you don't waste your time. There's always a good thing. You know?
I mean, you think I think I've always thought about my favorite example of this, where I wonder how useful it was Jonathan Drouin. Because his 19-year-old season, he
destroyed that league.
Absolutely obliterated the Q in his D+1. And then Tampa Bay was like, what do we do with him? We don't think he's quite ready.
And we can't put him in the AHL yet.
He just scored 140 points or something in this league last year as a D+1.
We can't leave him there.
Yeah, like Cal Ritchie going back to the OHL next year, there's plenty of benefit there, right?
Yeah.
You can see where there's benefit from him going and having another year because you want him to dominate it. You want that kind of season. But once he's done it, does he need to do it again?
No.
You know, because with Kale, his freshman year, he didn't dominate. His sophomore year, he dominated. He was ready for the next challenge. Mm-hmm. So, you know, there are examples of that where, and this is where, irrespective of the 18-year-old draft, 20-year-old draft, the CHL rules are really punitive.
They're terrible.
They're really punitive because if you look at, I don't know why he's on my mind today, but you look at a guy like Claire Gauthier. If he was, if he was playing junior hockey,
he'd be screwed.
He can't. There's no next year where he can. You know, he couldn't have come in and kind of like, okay, well, maybe AHL, maybe NHL.
Every year.
We'll see how this goes. The college guys and the European guys benefit a ton from their ability to, whenever an organization thinks they're ready, whenever they want to, whatever, like, boom. Now, you can easily argue, just from an Avalanche perspective, they should not do this.
Stay far away from their AHL.
They should not do this. Mikko Rantanen worked. It has been a decade since that worked.
Him and Logan O'Connor are the only two, really.
Yeah, and Logan O'Connor was 23.
Yeah,
so it's
he was not a prospect like that. Fair.
Like, that is, Logan O'Connor, very, very different, right? But Mikko Rantanen is the only guy that they have dropped into the AHL right away, and I think the success with Mikko
He was just that good.
And it led to them trying it with Martin Kaut and Oscar Olausson.
Foodie, technically,
yeah. Well, Foodie.
It's a different case. I get it,
because Foodie got to skip the line because of COVID and the OHL. Foodie, I think it worked out pretty well for him. But you do look at like some of the European kids where they get to come over right away.
But every year, there's 10 to 20 kids in juniors that should be playing in the AHL. But
yeah, exactly. And the organizations can't do anything about it.
Yep. I don't know how to. The only way you can fix that is by simply removing the agreement between the
let the organizations and the player decide if are they ready or not.
Yep.
It doesn't. I just don't. I've heard all the arguments about it's great for the CHL and it's great for the revenue of these small town teams and they need that and whatever. There will be other players.
Yep.
There will be other players, and let's be real. Doesn't money already kind of dominate the CHL anyway?
Yep.
Isn't that why the London Knights are always there?
Just churn out NHL.
Yeah, isn't it? It's not that every organization in the CHL has their moment in the sun. You still have to be good at what you do.
You can stop trading second-round picks in 2032 then and actually draft your players.
God. Some of their trade rules are pretty wild, man. It could be a bit much.
My point was trying to transfer this with the European players to the NHL officially announcing the World Cup of 4 hockey teams that it's going to be played in February. How do you guys feel about this tournament? Because I have thoughts, but I'll let you guys go first.
So I really didn't like it until I listened to them explain their reasoning on why it was just these 4, and they just said, we want it to be a showcase of NHL-only talent. Mm-hmm. Okay, I get it. I'm good. I still don't really understand why that limitation is put there, but okay. I understand that there are certain geopolitical considerations here.
It's hard to ice a Russia team. I get it.
The exclusion of Russia still frustrates me personally.
There's certainly enough Russian players to put a team together.
That's what I'm saying. Well, and it's like some of the best talent.
Yeah.
You like
Kirill Kaprizov.
The 5 best goaltenders in the NHL aren't going to be in that thing.
Pick a goalie. You have Panarin. You get the old guys go around with someone like Ovechkin. Then
their exclusion annoys me because we're punishing Artemi Panarin for being from Russia.
Yeah,
and
one of the most vocally anti-Russia Russians.
Exactly. It's what I'm saying. It just seems, I can understand why the decision's being made, but it's like, what do these guys have to do with it?
Right. They're just hockey players.
So, it's that I don't love, and it does suck. There are some great hockey countries. Germany is having a golden era right now.
Switzerland.
Switzerland's great. We're about to have 2 Norwegian guys are going to get selected in the first round in 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. 2 Norwegians are going to be selected in the first round. I'm not saying Norway has to be there, but there are great countries that are. Slovakia's been great. Czechia is awesome.
The reality for me there is that's what the Olympics are for, and the NHL has to go back. Full stop.
Yeah.
Which they are, right?
Yeah, but allegedly.
They are until they aren't, is what we've learned so far.
My only thing with the World Cup, what's it called? Sorry.
It's called the World Cup of Hockey.
Well,
this one's the 4 Nations, but
Four Nations, sorry.
No, the 4 Nations Cup already exists.
Okay.
Whatever, but my only problem with this thing is because I don't know where I've been. Maybe I was under a rock somewhere. I really thought until yesterday that this freaking tournament was going to be played in September.
Yeah.
I swear, like the World Cup of 96, which was, by the way, awesome. 96 World Cup is unbelievable hockey.
Is that the one where the Americans tore up their hotel room?
Yeah, when they beat the Canadians, 2 out of 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
2-1 at the Montreal Forum there. Montreal Forum. Yeah, Montreal Forum. They're not the Bell Center, the Forum. Anyway, unbelievable hockey. Mike Richter, those guys. USA Hockey was those guys made a name for themselves, all those players. It was an unbelievable team, but it sucked for the Avs because they had just won the Cup. The guys had a short summer, and like I always tell you guys, it did affect us in '97 in the series against Detroit because guys were just burnt out. You know what I mean? They were so tired, and because that series was in September. But I really thought that Cup, whatever they're calling it, I had no idea it was in February, I freaking hate that. No, that's not pro player. That's pro manager. You know what I mean? Like, you just freaking hate those tournaments, and it's just not fun. I don't care if it's the Olympics; it's awesome, but you know what I mean. You pay a guy a certain amount of money, and then he gets hurt, and then he comes back, and it just stinks.
Brutal.
I'm not
for the player and
I
the
love
team,
it for the player. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, but as an owner, you can see why some owners don't like the Olympics. Because I get it. I mean, it's an investment, right?
Yeah.
But I really thought this tournament was going to be in September until yesterday when I saw the dates in Boston and Montreal, like February. I'm like, what?
Yep.
I thought it was like the World Cup again, like 96.
No.
And I was excited for it, but it was only 4 teams. But
Yeah, and
now
it's
I'm
just
even
it's
less
a round
excited.
robin.
Now I'm even less excited. Like, I don't know why,
semifinal.
but I just am.
The teams just play each other.
I want to talk about that too in a second. But before we do, make sure you're saving the date to come out to Infinity Park in Glendale for Monday Movie Night on June 24th, featuring The Marvels. Gates open at 6 p.m. and the movie starts at 7 p.m. Moviegoers are encouraged to bring their own chairs, blankets, and pack coolers with their favorite snacks. What?
Did you see that?
No?
That's got beer in it.
There you go. You could have been using the tap this whole time.
I just wanted to pull the handle. It's like a slot machine, dude.
Get yourself out there, enjoy your time on the lawn at Infinity Park, and enjoy the movies. There will also be food trucks on site if you don't want to bring your own snacks, so you have delicious options to purchase. All movie nights in 2024 are free to attend. You don't have to pay anything to go have a great night out at Infinity Park. So don't miss out on the family-friendly fun at Infinity Park in Glendale. If you want more information, you can always go to AmericanRaptors.com to learn more about the park and get a bunch of other awesome stuff. Also, be sure to check out the DNVR Rugby podcast with Colton Strickler. And then once you've enjoyed your movie nights, make sure you're heading over with Volo Sports, where you can play your own sports any day of the week. Anywhere, basically. The largest social sports company in the country. You can get the Volo Pass today with the Volo app and use code DNVR3 to get $10 off your first 3 months. The Volo Pass gives you unlimited drop-ins and pickups. It also gives you access to tournaments and a bunch of other amazing stuff as well. They have all the recreational sports under the sun, even things like Flip Cup that you might not even consider a sport. Volo's got you covered with that. They got whole teams set up. It's a great way to meet new people, make friends, and with the Volo Pass, you can even use it in any city where Volo operates. So if you travel for work, things like that, just want to get a pickup game in or meet some new people in a new city, Volo has you covered. Again, be sure to download that Volo app today and use that DNVR3 code to get 10% off your first 3 months of the Volo Pass. Last period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Continuing with this conversation about the Four Nations or World Cup or whatever you want to call it. Okay, that's definitely already a tournament, so maybe the NHL's just stealing it, but all good.
Be pretty accurate. There's only 4 nations.
There are only 4 nations. And to that point, would it have been that hard to add a couple more teams?
It is the 4 nations face-off.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Yeah. Very cool.
Just as an example, by not bringing a Czech team, you're missing out on David Pastrnak, Tomáš Hertl, Ondrej Palat, Pavel Zacha, Martin Necas, Jakub Vrana, Filip Hronek. Trundle's off after that. Are they a team?
You ran out of NHLers quickly on that list.
They could field a team.
Come on,
Would they get owned by Canada? Yes.
Not necessarily.
The hockey is played for a reason, right?
Exactly.
So my point is, you could have added a couple more teams, even ignoring the whole Russia thing. If you tried even a little bit, maybe you bring a couple of ex-NHLers on some of these teams.
Yeah,
you could have got to at least like 6 or 7.
NHL only was the crutch that they used to cut it down to 4, and then they just held their nose and said, ew, Russia.
My second point, round robin is objectively a bad tournament format. Fight me.
Okay.
I just think it's not worth it.
There's only so much you can be wrong about on one pod, man.
GSL groups, man.
Oh, dude. They're not trying to get a champion. Like they're just playing games to play them, man. There's no.
That's so dumb.
Which is exactly how I feel about World Championships, because I'm like, this is unserious.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care about this. If Nathan McKinnon gets hurt during this thing, I am going to be pissed.
Yep. And that's
That's my point.
Well, this is what
I'm good with it when it comes to the Olympics. That is a different level. That thing matters. Everybody cares about the Olympics. When it comes to this bullshit in the middle of the season,
Oh, buddy,
no, dude.
I'm not happy about it.
Well, here's my take on it. Do the players care?
They do.
Because
They want to go. They want to go to the Olympics.
No. Olympics.
They do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, this random Four Nations crap. Do the players care about this tournament in February?
anytime you're asked by your country to pull the jersey on and get to represent them
Stop,
on the world stage,
Stop.
it's such a deep honor, and I just have such a respect for everybody
So,
that's
no,
worn
the
this
players
jersey
don't
before me, and I just want to honor that by putting out the best performance I can.
Got it. The players do not care at all. Understood. And if the players don't care about the tournament, why are you playing it? That would be my point.
Here's the way I'll put it. Do the player X, going into the season next year, is he like, I really want to win the Four Nations Championship? Or
No,
he says, I
there's
want to
no
win
way.
the Stanley Cup. I mean, that's, for me, so that's in the way. I don't know if you call me stupid, whatever, but that tournament's in the way of me trying to win the Stanley Cup. I truly believe that.
Yep.
But I agree with AJ. I mean, the guys are going to say that because what else are you supposed to say? You're not going to say, no, I don't want to go. You know what I mean? But I think internally, some guys will be like, I could skip that one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and this,
but you're not going to say it out loud.
Yeah.
well, and that's my problem because this isn't the World Championships where a player can just say, I'm not going to go. This is the NHL.
I'm really beat up after the season, and I need to recover.
The NHL,
I think they'll run into some problems.
it's gonna. If they do run into problems, it's going to immediately become the same thing as the All-Star game.
That's what I mean.
Where they're going to say, if you don't go to this, you're suspended
that's-
because the NHL is running
I mean,
it.
I know.
So.
Well, and then you have Nikita Kucherov show up and completely no-show.
Not
or,
even try.
Yeah, or whoever's going to be the equivalent of Kucherov because he's not allowed to play in this. So whichever guy's going to show up and just drift through to 2 or 3 games and then call it good.
I don't like it. It's just, I don't.
You're just putting everybody in a bad position, and it doesn't seem to be for any good reason.
Again, like, I don't know where I've been. I really thought it was in September, and I was like, okay, but I forgot there was only four nations, 4 teams. I thought it was
the one
really
World
the World
Cup that
Cup.
they had
I
was
loved
awesome.
it.
If you at
96
least
was awesome,
fun, man.
At least
It
get
was
me to
awesome.
8, man. If you get me to 8 teams, I'm in. But 4 is just not enough.
I didn't even mind it when they had the last World Cup and they had the Young Stars team,
Yeah,
and then you had Team Europe, and that ended up being fun.
From what I understand, a lot of Europeans were not happy with Team Europe.
I can understand that,
Yeah,
but
I
also
can see that,
they got a little pissed and they made a good run.
True. Pretty good team. put
Yeah, it
together.
ended up being a good team. It was like, look, dude, so
It's
you're
fun.
not going to get to represent Slovakia, but you're going to get to participate in the tournament.
Yeah. If it gets to 8 teams, I'm in.
What I think you don't want, because there's just not enough really good hockey countries, is you don't want it to be like WJCs where, yeah, it's cool that Kazakhstan and Latvia.
Every
and
other
those
game
come-
is an
yeah.
11-1 blowout.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, that's not fun, man. You don't
Yeah.
want to do that. You don't want to embarrass those guys.
Well,
For
I
sure.
grew up with you guys again. You weren't born, but the Canada Cups. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it was so awesome. And you tell me that people haven't seen that Gretzky to Lemieux goal with, you know what I mean, Larry Murphy on there. Like, it's what a goal that was. But those were in September. And I remember all my dad's clients, which were all All-Stars in the NHL, you know what I mean? Like, they were so pissed if they were cut by Team Canada or Team, they all wanted to go. They wanted to be part of it. It was huge. Ask Goo. We'll have Goo. Well, next time we have Goo, we'll ask Goo. He was part of those Canada Cups for like 3 of them, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
It was huge. You know what I mean? Like, it was the real deal. And it was all like, because they didn't get to go to the Olympics,
Well,
right?
look,
So that was their Olympics.
The Olympics figured out how to have the unaffiliated athletes of Russia or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, figure it out.
I don't know.
Or
Call me old school. I
Is
just
it
don't like
or? Yeah, that's what it was. You're right. I don't know. It feels like if done correctly, there could be something there, but this isn't it.
it just feels like there's so much talent that won't be there that
Yeah.
it just won't feel good.
Yep. Fair point. Yeah. That's most of what I had to cover today. Any other topics you guys want to wrap the
hold
show
on.
up with?
If you got a lot of Russians on your team, is that an advantage?
You get a
'Cause then
rest
they
that
get a
week,
freaking
yeah.
week off. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, so load up right now. You know what I mean? Like, for this year, I don't know. I think it does matter.
So the Washington Caps are going to have the
the run.
they'll
have a run.
Yeah, they're going to have the best prep for the second half of the season. I mean, after they took Cap Friendly from us.
Oh my God, I'm so mad.
I appreciated your tweet. I can't believe roast my roster dies like this.
Thanks to the Washington Capitals.
How's the other site that they're talking?
Puckpedia is fine. It's a fine site.
Puckpedia is fine.
It's nowhere near as good as Cap.
It's never been quite as thorough or quite as easily digestible.
Yep.
And I think that was always an important distinction between them.
So it's going dormant, but it's working for the Caps.
Yeah, the Caps are just stealing everything it has.
Yeah.
P.S. Someone smarter than me scraped the whole site and put up a copy of it somewhere.
I wonder if somebody did that yesterday. They sold that site for how much?
I don't know. I don't think there's a ton to say there. And the thing is,
just a bummer.
This isn't the first time this has happened. It used to be Cap Geek that was the site that got bought out. So there'll be another one that, whether it's Puckpedia or someone else, that raises to the occasion.
Cap Geek, I remember that.
But
gosh, I totally had a follow-up.
I wonder if their
disappeared.
NBA site will stay public.
Oh yeah,
because they have Swish now or whatever it's called too.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. I don't know. Anyway, it's been a weirdly active news cycle for the NHL off the ice with things like that. But
my follow-up thought: we still will do a roast my roster before the draft.
This last one, because Cap Friendly's staying up to like July 5th or something. They said so. We'll definitely have one for this free agency.
That'll be a sad day.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. All right. Is that it? Any other topics you wanted to touch on?
Yeah, I mean, we should just let the homies know. We will be planning on a roast my roster before the draft, but we are extremely busy.
Yep.
That week because we are working on something that we haven't
done before, really.
Yeah, or told you guys that we're doing yet. And then we're obviously all traveling to Vegas that weekend for the draft itself. And then immediately after, we go into free agency. So
yeah, it's going to be busy. But
yeah, you guys should look for it.
The 25th of that week or something.
Yeah, you guys should look for it probably like Monday or Tuesday of that week. So keep it in mind. Don't start putting submissions in. We won't see them.
We'll hype it up more next week and the week after, I'm sure. So
we'll pick an actual day and we'll start telling you guys. And it'll be a nostalgic roast my roster because... it'll be the last one.
There you go. Look, there's still a lot of draft coverage for you guys to come. Still a lot of free agency coverage for you guys to come over the next half a month or so. A little more than half a month, I suppose.
Yeah, we got 3 weeks.
Yeah, tomorrow we are having. I can say this, right? It's official.
Yeah.
Brian Bork from USNTDP. Well, previously of USNTDP now. Coming on to talk a bunch of the USNTDP guys. So if you're into those prospects, projects, you name it.
We're going to talk about EJ Emery.
Be sure to tune in to that one tomorrow. And then through the rest of the week, we'll get back into our top 10 list. We'll get into some of the free agency stuff too. So that's all we got. We appreciate y'all for hanging out with us at Breck Brew today. It's always fun to do shows down here at the farmhouse. Come check it out. If you're local to Colorado and you haven't been down here, great place to hang out, especially in the nice weather in the summers. They have a great outdoor area if you don't want to come to the tasting room where we are now. We appreciate y'all, and we'll talk to you in the next one.
We all silly like the mayor.